Channel Sports Central beginning over 5 reasons why the Ohio State Buckeyes will go on to beat Northwestern and win the Big Ten championship for this 2020 season. And Ohio State's been a team that's only played 5 games this season. They were granted eligibility to play in the conference championship game just a week ago. And so that's really good for Ohio State, because if they win this game, that basically puts them into the college ball playoffs. This is a very important game for the Bucks, and winning this one. We're going to be going over 5 reasons here today why they're going to beat Northwestern. These reasons will be in no particular order. And that being said, we're going to look at your number 1 reason, which is going to be Justin Fields, quarterback for Ohio State. He's the most accurate quarterback in the nation right now. He's got the best completion rate at 79% right now. He is outstanding in the accuracy part, and he's just been all around just a great quarterback all season long. And he's definitely shown over the past couple of seasons how he can win big games. I mean, when he transferred in before 2019, there was a lot of uncertainty about him, but he really has proved to everyone that he can be an elite quarterback, and he's definitely going to be one quarterback that's going to go very early in the 2021 NFL draft. Like, honestly, I could see him competing possibly for the number 1 overall pick based off of how talented he has been all season and how he's performed in general. I mean, his stats through 5 games, 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Let me remind you, that's only through 5 games. Like, if you double that there, if you consider this is an actual season with 12 games, Justin Fields will be on track to possibly have 4,000 yards on the season, which is outstanding out of any quarterback. And let alone for him, once again, his completion rate has been outstanding, and he's also had, a great touchdown interception ratio with a 15-3. And let alone, he's got lots to work around too. He's got a great receiving core. He's got a great running back right behind him. All around, Justin Fields has got all the keys in order for him to be successful. And that's been a big reason why that Ohio State has been so successful this season, is because of how good of a quarterback Justin Fields has been. And honestly, he's been a top 3 quarterback in the nation. I would probably say possibly even the best. And once again, if you look at his stats, even though his stats are significantly lower than the others, once again, he's only played through 5 games, and he's kind of on the same level that I would say as, say, Trevor Lawrence or maybe even Mac Jones or Kyle Trask. Justin Fields has been playing very, very well over the past few weeks, and that's going to be huge coming into this championship game. Number 2 is going to be the rush defense for Ohio State, which is allowing the least amount of yards per game on the rush defense in the Big Ten, as they're currently allowing 95 average rush yards per game this season, which is a really great number. Honestly, if you can keep that number below 130 or so, that is a great number. And Ohio State's over here with only 95 average rush yards per game, which is extremely impressive out of Ohio State. Their defensive line is always extremely skilled, and that just kind of shows how good this team is. We've seen several really good defensive linemen come out of Ohio State in the past, and it looks like that's going to continue many, many more years into the future as of now, considering how great they've been all season. Number 3 is going to be the receiving core for Ohio State. Their top receivers include Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, both of which have combined for 1,400 yards on the season, which is outstanding out of 2 receivers, which, both these guys have been huge for Justin Fields this season, and you could argue it's a huge reason why Justin Fields has been so successful, is that he's had 2 really great receivers with these guys to work with. And Chris Olave, speaking of him, even though he's starting to become a bit of an older college receiver, he's got potential to be an early round draft pick next spring. Like, I've seen some mock drafts where people have him in the first round, possibly even within the first couple of rounds, which is really good out of a receiver for sure. So Chris Olave is looking like one of the better receivers in the nation right now. And then you also got Garrett Wilson, of course, who's starting to come up here, and he's definitely playing very well, as he's put up some great stats as well. He's actually the leading receiver for Ohio State this season at just around 650 total offensive yards per game, or this season, which is really impressive out of him as well. So, yeah, watch out for Garrett Wilson in the future. And for now, Chris Olave has definitely been a great receiver for this Ohio State team. Speaking of which, they got an average of 280 receiving yards per game on this season, which is also extremely impressive out of any team, let alone Ohio State. Number 4 is going to be the momentum on the Ohio State side, and this team, once again, has only played 5 games this season, but they have been extremely dominant through those 5 games, and that is something that you really got to watch out for if you're playing Ohio State in this situation, because you haven't seen Ohio State play a lot of games up to this point. Like, even if Ohio State's in the college ball playoff, they will have only played 6 games before being in the top 4. So for a lot of teams, honestly, Ohio State could be in an advantage there, because a lot of teams haven't been able to see Ohio State play a ton this season, so there's not going to be a whole lot of film to look at there. But for Ohio State, this team has been very dominant through all 5 games. If you look at their schedule and how well that they've played, they've blown out pretty much every team that they've played. At the beginning of the season, they were allowing, they did allow 25 points to Penn State. They allowed 27 to Rutgers, but all around, I mean, they still outscored their opponents by at least 15 in each of those games, which, I mean, they absolutely destroyed Michigan State a couple weeks ago, 52-12, and that just kind of shows like how far this team has come, because Michigan State has actually played halfway decent this season, so you do got to consider that as well. But motivation, I mean, that's not going to be an issue at all here, considering for Ohio State, they've got a college ball playoff appearance on the line. That's what they're playing for here in this game. But the defensive side, that'll probably be one of the major factors here. Like, I've got no worries about this offense whatsoever. I mean, they've been playing very well all season long. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not the defense can hold on Northwestern or not, which I definitely expect them to. But number 5 is going to be Ryan Day, the head coach for Ohio State. And this is only his second season as a head coach, and he has put up some outstanding numbers. He's been doing outstanding as a head coach. He's only got one loss through 2 full seasons, and 1 season as being an interim head coach for 3 games. He's only got 1 loss, which is to Clemson last season in the college football playoff. So, I mean, he hasn't even lost a conference game yet through a couple of seasons, which is outstanding. I don't think that's almost as good as you can get for any head coach. I mean, if you look at, he was going into that Clemson game last season, I think he was a 17-0 record, which is extremely impressive. But he's got no problems with coaching and winning big games. That's obviously been shown, considering he convincingly won a Big Ten championship game last season. And even though he lost in the college football playoff, that still was to Clemson, which, Clemson last season was outstanding. But, Ryan Day, he's already made it to the college football playoff and won 2 Big Ten championships, so he's definitely got a lot of potential. He's doing very, very well as a head coach right now. But in the end, that wraps up my 5 reasons why Ohio State's going to beat Northwestern this weekend. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments below. I'll have my official prediction out for the game within a few hours, so yeah, stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys all sticking around and watching. If you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it and subscribe as well, as it really helps the channel. But once again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I'll see you later.